Hello and welcome to None of Your Business, the podcast that takes a lighthearted look at life outside of work. My name is Nick Pearce, and joining me today is someone who I've only met quite recently, but certainly had a profound impact on me in Jack Post, probably most commonly associated as being Cackling Jack on the Hamish Andy podcast and show for over 20 years, I think it has been now. We're in his backyard, which is an amazing spot. It's his Zen zone, as he calls it, a place where I think he's actually had some spiritual awakening. But we talk all things family life, being a real family man and an amazing dad to Gordy, his love of music, arts, travel, and also encouraging podcasters like myself to get out there and have a go at something. So I hope you really enjoy the show.
So where's the office? Back at Division? In the office, baby.
None of your business. None of your business. None of your business. None of your business.
Welcome to None of Your Business. Joining me today is someone who I've only met relatively recently, but I'm a big fan of. Probably needs no introduction. It's Jack Post, I guess, most commonly associated with the Hamish Andy program, but also the Christian O'Connell show, but has carved out a whole new chapter and has become a self-confessed, here it is, making hobby podcasts and videos just sometimes, but not a lot. So that's the new.
Did I say that?
Yeah, somewhere it came out in my research. So we're here today to dissect the Bombers' game plan and list. No, I'm only joking. Jack, could you tell us
what you say about? I know I'm wearing a Bombers shirt today, but as we record this, the Bombers are on the bottom of the ladder, but I will feel embarrassed for you if by the time this releases, if we're on the top of the ladder and all your jokes about us being the worst team make no sense at all.
Well, let's see. Well, by the time you release, we shall know the answer to that. But
you're releasing in like 2029, 2030.
Hopefully we'll have a listener by then as well. So, no, Jack, I guess, first of all, could you tell us a bit about where we are in this space right now?
I've invited you, Nick, to my temple. And I know I would roll my eyes if I heard somebody say that, and I wish I was joking, but I actually refer to this space that we're sitting in my backyard as my temple. And it did start as a joke to my wife, me calling it that, but I actually do come out here and give it a reverence and have a silent, peaceful prayer to the universe pretty much daily now.
So it's become like a bit of a mindfulness sort of practice.
It's so special. So first of all, where we're sat is on the deck of a sauna that I spent the last 6 months building. So, all right, let me go back to May last year.
Yep.
I quit my job in breakfast radio. 5 days a week I was doing 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Christian O'Connell show.
Yep.
#1 FM show in Melbourne radio.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great show. I love Christian, love working on the show. But it did start to eat away at my life a little bit, getting up at 4:30 every morning.
Yep.
And it was killing me. Got harder again when I became a dad 3 years ago, and got harder. It just got harder and harder, and I was finding I wasn't getting the right amount of satisfaction back from it to justify how much I thought it was taken from me. So I made the hard decision to leave that show, which I did at the end of May 2025. And then for the next 6 months, I really didn't have anything planned. What I was going to do for my job, I knew I was still doing once a week with the Hamish and Andy podcast, but other than that, I was a free spirit.
Yeah.
And the first week out of it, I went down to Phillip Island with a couple of friends. We were on the foreshore, and this guy had built a sauna in a horse float.
Amazing.
That he drives down to the foreshore, you have a sauna, you jump in the sea. And I think I just had spent 7 years on breakfast radio. I'm with my best and oldest friends in the sauna, getting hot, then out into the cold ocean. And, this is it would have been June, so cold, especially down in Phillip Island. And I was just like, this is the best feeling in the world. And my friend, sitting in the sauna, he goes, it wouldn't be so hard to build one of these. Like, he's looking around, tapping the wood. He's like, this is a bit of wood in a horse float. Anyway, I heard that and I thought, you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to build a sauna.
Amazing.
I've got the time. I don't have the skills, but if you say it's easy, it should be easy. And then fast forward 6 months later, we're sitting at the final product. Many iterations later, it's not a horse float, it's just a normal building. But in my backyard, I have a sauna that can fit, 5 or 6 people. 7 is the most we've squished in there if you want to get really tight and sweaty. And I love it so much.
Yeah.
I've already been in there this morning.
Fantastic.
before you came.
Well, you smell great. I got to say, there's
Thank you.
permeating right. You've had a shower, I think, since. There's
I've
some
had
sort
a
of-
shower,
What,
yes,
what
yes.
body wash have you used? Because it actually smells amazing.
I think that might be my hair product that you're smelling.
Well, I mean, I don't have the luxury of that, unfortunately. But
So I can't really help you with that
but no,
one,
you
Nick.
do smell fantastic. I guess I also did a little bit of research, and it sort of tells you that you've done 540 seconds worth of content on the sauna project. So I remember it was it's almost become your new career, or it was for 6 months.
It actually became so because I was doing it. I was spending a lot of time on it. I didn't build it 100% myself. There was people who knew how to build properly doing it, but I was here every day.
Yeah, on
contributing.
site manager.
Well, no, I was on the I was on the tools, and if that hasn't been expressed through the videos, then I need to be putting up more.
No more, please.
I was getting busy, and then I wasn't doing a lot of other content, so
Yeah.
I was putting out videos about the sauna, and it's kind of funny how people just like associate you with what they see a lot, because usually I was getting recognized from fans of the Hamish and Andy show or fans of Gold FM. And then it started to be coming up, like people bumping me, like, "You're the sauna guy, yeah, the sauna guy."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess I am making a sauna. So for a while, I became synonymous with being the sauna guy. If you had seen those videos online, but then so let me get to the temple if
Please,
I can. And
please.
sorry, I know you got
No.
questions.
Temple's great.
So built the sauna. Then this guy who was a fan of the podcast came out of the woodwork and said, "Oh, let me design your backyard for you." Because it was at that stage like trucks had been driving through and
Yeah.
like it was just mud and dirt and overgrown grass. Anyway, so he drew up this little fire pit area that we're sitting in front of now. So it's the sauna. Then the window of the sauna looks onto the fire pit, and there's a couple of logs around it. And I just found myself coming out here, especially after a sauna, or just even with a cup of tea in the morning, like looking up at the sky, looking up at that big, great tree there,
Yeah.
and just like talking to the universe.
Mm.
And I'm not a spiritual person, or haven't been before this year,
Yeah.
but one of the biggest transformations I've had in the last 6 months is I'm talking to someone up there.
I want to kind of double down on that, because I also know you've sort of in this time engaged with a text, not the Bible, but the artist's way, and I believe
that in coinciding with making the space. This book is what has inspired me to just like open up a little bit more about spirituality. So The Artist's Way is a book that was written maybe 30 years ago by Julia Cameron, and she worked in Hollywood and the film industry, but this book particularly is for creatives and how to get unblocked or unstuck as a creative.
Mm-hmm.
And the book has been transformational for me.
Yep.
So I do it with my wife and 10 strangers that I found on Instagram. We all come to the temple every Wednesday night.
Get naked in the sauna.
We don't. So I thought there would be more saunering, but we haven't all. Probably the numbers are too big to squish in the sauna.
Yes.
But we do sit around the fire pit, and then we keep each other accountable for this book, which is a 12-week process. So you read a chapter a week, and then it's got like tasks for you to. It's kind of like doing homework, really, like things you answer about yourself and like what might be subconsciously blocking you as a creative. And it's been, honestly, it's been a profound experience that I've had doing that book. And one thing that it says, or, quietly prompts you to do is just be a bit more open to spirituality, not be more open to religion, be more open to like whatever it means to you, some kind of higher power, some kind of like just opening up and seeing what it feels like. And I was very, very skeptical for that, because I came from, my parents were both raised Catholic, but by the time they had me, staunchly atheist and didn't want anything to do with religion. So I grew up in a house, like I didn't know anything about the Bible. I remember going to a friend's house and there was a nativity scene there at Christmas, and I was like, "What's this?" And their family was like, "He doesn't know the story of baby Jesus." So it's hard for me. I have been very cynical, I reckon, of religion in the past, So I started this practice, like sitting right on the step that's at your feet now.
Yeah.
sitting there, and at first it felt really awkward and forced, but I was like, talk to some kind of greater power up in the universe, like, hey, how you going? And it felt so silly, but now it's like I find a weird comfort in it, and I do it a lot. And I mean, I know it could all be make believe, but I actually sometimes, like, it prompts you in the book. It's like, why don't you ask for something to the universe and see if it gives you something back?
Has that happened? Have you had anything?
But then that's what kept me going, because
Yeah.
the first week of doing it, I'm sitting out here and I'm like, well, I've left my steady job where I was getting paid a proper salary to now go in this more fluid working environment where I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing like, I did some live shows last year. I'm doing partnerships on social media. I was like, just give me a sign if what I'm doing is the right thing. You know, that's like what I put out into the universe. And I thought it might take a week, but like that day, crazily, I got like two, and I was also getting to the point where I was worried financially, but I got 2 jobs came in that was like so much more than I ever thought you could make for doing those kind of online partnerships.
Yep.
And like fun work to be involved in, like seemingly came out of nowhere, 2 on the same day.
Amazing.
That afternoon. I was like, all right, well, if that's not a sign that I'm like meant to be doing this,
Oh,
this
crazy
kind of
coincidence.
work,
Yeah.
then I don't know what is. So
No.
ever since then, I've kind of trusted more the power of whatever is up there, even if it's just because it makes me feel like I've got some kind of support.
It's funny. I think I've spoken to this about, to your wife and yourself about this before, but I have had like a spiritual experience before, and similar to yourself, my background, I sort of I went to a Anglican school, but wasn't really sort of, deep into the text, if you will.
Yeah.
And I had an experience where I was overseas. I think I mentioned I was in Papua New Guinea, and we'd done a trek as a group of schoolmates, probably like 16, 17 years old. But the week after, we all did like a village stay. And I was placed with the family in a very rural area, sort of the dirt floor, kitchen table made of wood, and a sort of a hut with sort of the straw on the roof. And we had like a grandmother, a mother, and a baby. The baby was called Jojo from memory. I can't remember the grandma or mum's name, but they left an impression. And, one night what we did, we had the extended family come in, and it was raining, and we could hear it pattering on the roof. And I don't know whether I kind of got into this state of like absolute deep relaxation, but the grandmother sort of gestured for us to hold hands and link up. So there's probably like 10 of us sitting in this circle. Felt like I was in the middle of nowhere, like so far away from home. And I remember we just all closed our eyes and were holding hands. And I remember saying to you guys, I actually recall like almost like levitating and being above the room. And it was surreal. And for me, it has made me kind of subscribe to a belief in that like there is something else out there. I was either in this like deep state of relaxation and just totally zen'd, but it was truly an out of body experience. So I'm also a believer. I don't know if you've had anything like that as yet, or if you're sort of wanting to achieve that. Not that it was an accomplishment I set out to do. But.
No, I haven't levitated yet, but that's really cool. But what I can probably resonate with is like, oh, you had some sort of like a profound experience that you were previously like maybe cynical that could exist.
Yeah.
And I think even if it's not true, or like I'm not talking to anybody, even just the practice of gratitude and intention is probably valuable, because I've tried to do before. Like I'm a big fan of Hugh Van Cuylenberg's and his
friend of the podcast, great man.
Is he on the pod? Is he?
Well, he should be very soon. Yeah. He said he would be, so we're waiting to book that in.
So he's got this thing that he talks about. It's like, why don't you keep a gratitude journal and write 3 things that you're grateful for at night? And I tried to do that for a bit, and I was like, why isn't this resonating? It feels kind of forced. I'm not really. It's not really clicking for me. But in this environment where I sit here, go still, close my eyes, talk to the universe, whether he's there or not, I can be grateful and show gratitude for things and actually feel what it means to me. So it's pretty much just that. Like I thank him for some things, like, oh, thank you for like bringing this into my life, for where we're at, like for keeping us solvent and in the house and for bringing opportunities.
Yeah.
And then I'm finished with an intention. It's like, and then I want to do more of this kind of thing this week. So I'm open to possibilities, throw what you got at me.
Yeah.
And those two things, I think even if I'm just speaking to a tree, it doesn't matter because subconsciously it's doing something about my energy as I approach the world. And then I see those things come back anyway.
I want to sort of focus on, I guess, now this different configuration in your life where, as you say, you've gone from sort of this steady sort of 9 to 5 but unconventional hours, right, to a mix of the content side of things, some consulting and whatever else is happening, partnerships, but then also like the family life. And I really, two things I want to thank you for. So number one, your advice around even starting and doing this podcast. Remember, you're so generous. I had a sort of distant connection to you through a friend and got to meet you. And I was quite nervous because I felt like I had this backyard science project and I was going to meet the sort of head of aeronautical engineering at NASA, right? It was sort of that level of, sort of.
I got anything to do with NASA? I'd be that third guy who didn't get to land on the moon, Michael Collins. So while Buzz and Neil, Hamish and Andy, got to walk around on the moon, I was still in the spaceship and they couldn't even lower the drawbridge.
Got to try on the suit maybe though, so closer than myself. But you were so generous and like you gave some great advice. And I actually wouldn't mind you sharing that just to sort of like, I guess, aspiring podcasters out there that, obviously every day there's new concepts, there's new content, there's new podcasts coming out there, but you're really encouraging of people creating and making. And I guess that's probably part of just that muscle that you have and you really celebrate that and it's a passion of yours. But I just want to thank you for that. But is there sort of advice you give to people that
definitely. I didn't invent this concept. Someone else told it to me. His name's Josh Jansen. He did a lot in podcasting, but it really resonates with me. I feel the same way he did about any jokes that were made. It became like funny to like make jokes about people who are starting a podcast. Like, oh, we need, that's all we need. 2 mates starting a podcast. Oh, the world needs more podcasts. Your opinion on things. Yeah. And I just agree with him when he says like, why not? Like, who cares? Make a podcast. We all got an Instagram account. We all got a TikTok account. Like, just make it. What is it really going to, like, sure, it might not find a huge audience. You might not be the next Joe Rogan, but, like, make the podcast. And you're going to get a lot out of it, even if it doesn't become your full-time career. Yeah,
which I found, to be honest. It's certainly been, like, a wonderful outlet. And I don't think of myself as a creative person per se, but this has sort of been that endeavor for me and sort of some own personal struggles in terms of going from, work and purpose and identity to sort of a bit of a void there, which I want to sort of touch on as well, because I also am grateful to you in this regard and admire you in
Can I say one more thing about that thought?
Yeah, please.
And this comes up in the artist way as well.
Yeah.
The idea of like doing creativity and experimenting creatively just for the sake of doing it and how it nourishes the soul. Not because every creative venture has to be your bread and butter.
Yeah.
No, like, is that the saying? Like how you make your bread?
Yeah. Make a crust. Yeah.
How you make your crust. Yeah.
Well,
but you probably want some
pastry adjacent.
You want the butter on there. But you can just do things because it's like we used to do as kids. Like we just wanted to draw. We wanted to cut something out and stick it onto something else. We wanted to do things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. It's like you don't have to quit your job and put 40 hours a week into making a podcast because now this is going to be my career. You can just do it, and it may not make a cent. It may only get 100 people listening to it, whatever. I think it will get more.
Thank you, mate. No, I hope so, but that's also enough. Yeah.
This is just in general for anybody who's thinking of making a podcast or starting like whatever they want to start.
Yeah.
Just make it because for what it does to nourish you.
I couldn't attest that enough. And this sort of leads me to that next point of gratitude to yourself. And so both times I've seen you, so when I first met you, there was obviously that initial conversation that was so encouraging. I was so buoyed because I was feeling quite stuck and just wanting to do something. And then you introduced me to Mike, who's amazing, who's on the mic right now. And then introduced me to Joel, who's been incredible to work with. But so I thank you for that. But then also, when we went and caught up and we played mini golf with our kids at Marvel Stadium, the drive there, I actually, so at that very sort of point, I was really struggling. Like personally, I was sort of suffering a lot. I think my mental health had deteriorated a lot, and my sort of mental illness was almost sort of taking over my life. And in the car driving to see you guys, my wife Danny sort of said to me, like, Nick, I think I can tell that something's not quite right and it hasn't been for a long time for you, but also I can see like you're going through life and you're just not enjoying it as much as you could. Like I don't want you to look back and have a regret that it's all here for you right now. And, I was more irritable around the family and just things are irking me. And just, as I say, I was getting consumed by sort of this cleanliness and everything to do with my OCD. And we caught up with you guys and I saw how playful and animated and engaged you were with your son, Gordy. And I know it for yourself, again, I thank you for your generosity and your vulnerability in sharing your story with postnatal depression and on The Imperfects. It's an amazing listen. But it was this sort of example of something I wanted to aspire to be like. And I'm not there yet, but it actually encouraged me to go back, and I'd had therapy before, I'd been on medication and all of these things. And it was actually quite a pivotal turning point where I was looking at you as an example of like, I want to be more like how Jack is with his children. So I'm going quite a bit of a deep cut here, but I just wanted to say thanks for that because, yeah, there's been two sort of pivotal moments in, I think, me turning a corner. And doing this right now, as you say, has been more than enough. If I don't have any listeners or, it's just, a one season endeavor, it's really made my life and my year richer. So I want to say thanks for that because,
I can't imagine a nicer compliment to get.
No, I wholeheartedly mean it. No,
thank you so much.
Yeah, just seeing how you interacted. And I remember my son, like, when we caught up with you guys again, and Jack's like, "Oh, we're seeing Jack. Like, he's so funny." And I was like, "Yeah." And even recently, I was, doing some therapy, and the psychologist was like, "When you go to bed tonight, just do some visualization, and just like, what do you want to look like as a parent? What do you want your kids to remember you for?" And that was kind of the vision that I had, or the sort of thing I went to, was that imagery of you interacting with not only your own son, but my son as well. So it's been a real example.
That's a huge compliment, and that's landed really, really lovely.
No, it's my pleasure.
The heart. Like, especially because I don't know if people have heard the Imperfects chat I did, but I had a really rocky start to being a dad, and I felt really disjointed and out of it. And I spiraled badly in the first months of his life. So I've got a lot of shame around being a parent in general. So to hear you say that, man, it's huge.
Yeah, it's epic, I think, mate, to like think about, and for yourself, again, to sort of reconcile maybe where you started and where you are now. Like, it's pretty immense and profound. Like, I can't imagine, it probably feels quite surreal for you to be like, I can't believe I feel so strongly. But again, maybe that validation for me to be like, that is the kind of dad I want to be. So no, mate, I mean it wholeheartedly, and no, I appreciate you very much. So
thanks, man.
No, not at all.
Can I circle it in? I feel like to what we were just talking about and how it all relates together. You going on this creative journey of making this podcast and the idea that just everybody, I think, should have more creativity in their life and do things that they want to do. That is a little bit of a philosophy for me as well about being a parent. Mm-hmm. Like, I grew up definitely where my parents, my dad especially, felt like they really grinded through work every day in a job they didn't like, they hated, but it was just like, because the family needs money and we need to get food on the table. And so I get this, like, I've got this memory of my dad my whole childhood was like, wow, he really hated his job, and he was like not loving that.
Yeah.
And maybe this is easy to say to someone who works in a job that they love, but I just think you have to do some things that nourish yourself and that bring enjoyment to you to create energy in the environment where your kids are going to grow up in. And because I see how tempting it could be when you have kids to go like, well, all my sacrifice now is going to go to them, so I'm last in line. I'm going to be deprioritized so they can be prioritized. But I want Gordy to grow up seeing it's like, yeah, I chose to do things I loved often. Yeah, every week I was choosing to do something, and maybe it meant, like, I'm not spending as much one-on-one time playing with the cars with him, but hopefully he gets enough of that, but then also sees his parents are the kind of people who choose to also prioritize their own self-compassion and doing things that they love. Which
I think is the right example to set. Again, I can't attest that enough. And again, for me, I think even like Jack, my son, has like heard the jingle to our the show, and he sort of like sings it at home, and Dad's doing none of your business today, and he sort of sing. And so it's really lovely to sort of, as you say, like those sort of intangibles that can be realized in their own growth and development through that example that you set. But
Yep.
let's talk about some of your other outlets and just sort of shifting gear a little bit. So you're an avid golfer. So two things that probably frustrate you are being a Dons fan and and playing golf at times. So how did you get into that? Because you're a really keen golfer and a lot of content is around that and it's quite handy. So
I will say the golf has crazily taken a back seat since I've got more time in my life,
interesting.
which is weird to say, but yeah, when I was doing the breakfast radio show, it was actually a perfect thing for me because I would finish work at like 11 a.m. and then all my friends are at their normal real jobs, and so golf was a great thing to do, a great hobby to have to kill time in the day while all your friends are doing real stuff. And since I've got since I'm not doing that, it's also, I found golf to be a great way to disconnect. If something's really like occupying your mind, which the radio show does just by the nature of it, you're always thinking like, how are we going to fill 3 hours of content? Like, what else happened to me today? You're always on this like hunger for like content, what it can be talked about. I found that really hard to switch off from, and golf was a great tool for that, to properly switch off your mind. And sometimes on the golf course you actually get to the point where you forget what day it is and like what you're meant to be doing that night and tomorrow, and that was super helpful when it really felt like a endurance challenge doing the radio show. But since I've lived in a more fluid life, I haven't really felt the desperation for it. I still like going to play, but now where I was playing maybe once a week back then, it's probably once a month now. And I still like it because my friends play, and it's something that we can do, and I think it's a great thing for camaraderie. But I'm not drawn to it in the same way, probably for those reasons, which I've never explored until right now, but I think that's true.
Interesting. Is it handy to sort of broker a further connection with your wife's side of the family? I believe they're quite avid or keen golfers. Has that sort of been a nice in terms with the in-laws?
Definitely, my in-laws, which I don't have a lot of crossover with. Like, they're very business orientated, so creativity to them is a little bit vague and mysterious. So golf, I felt like, was the first crossover of something that I was starting to love, and they've loved their whole life. And Bianca and her siblings were all junior golfers and would be in like the local newspaper, and there's still photos on the wall at their house, like little cutouts of the newspaper of Bianca winning some competition as a junior golfer. So that has been a great point of, like we actually go over and holiday now. Wherever we holiday with them, it's like, oh, let's pick some golf courses to go and play.
Epic.
And that's something that we probably didn't have before.
Yeah.
But sadly, Bianca is not a huge fan of golf, which is crazy to me, because as someone who wants to desperately be better at golf, she's naturally good and has all this like muscle memory from when she was a kid, but she's got no interest in playing. Whereas I'm, playing a lot and trying to get better and watching the YouTube videos, but then I will go out and she'll still beat me quite easily.
And she, very handy on the mini golf course as well, I might add as well. Like, was
she?
obviously,
mini golf night really made an impact.
Left an impression. Well, we also, quite funnily, as parents, I think the best thing we did, we went for a feed afterwards, but probably the hardest parenting sort of situation you could put yourself in. It was like a escape room. We went to a pub night where they were doing trivia with young kids, and we had like pasta night as well. So it was just mayhem. We're sort of sitting there, and I'm also doing my own shit, but trying to keep like a level head.
I actually found that difficult myself. And that's someone who's not diagnosed with OCD, so I can't imagine the hell you're in. This is children with bolognese pasta bowls on the floor, underneath the table, making a mess, rocking the table so drinks are spilling, food's going everywhere.
And we're trying to do trivia as well.
Trying to do trivia at the same time, so there's a guy in the mind like, there's noise everywhere, it's full to the brim, TVs are on playing sports at the same time.
It's very memorable.
Very overstimulating.
It was, it left a big impression. But I guess, again, adjacent to trivia, but something I didn't know and I'd heard more recently is that you're quite an avid sort of, like, you love your board games. I remember through the D's boys, we did Gorney the other day, and he was saying that one time, I think you guys there's a place in the city, a venue in the city, and you guys, you rocked up and just started playing some board game, throwing the dice with the boys. So where does that come from? Is that from your childhood?
I met Tom McDonald, who plays at the Melbourne Football Club, at a Wim Hof event. Wim Hof is the Iceman who teaches breathing techniques, and then you go in an ice bath.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, Tom came up to me during that, right as we were about to get in an ice bath, or right afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a fan of the podcast. Nice to meet you." Anyway, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I want to be friends with footballers." So I started going to this weekly board game thing they did on their day off from footy. And it was the first year, I remember it was the first year that I was doing breakfast radio, because I hadn't learnt yet to take a nap in the day. And I was still adjusting to waking up at 4:30, but my old routine was go to bed after midnight. So it was not a lot of sleep hours. Yeah. And by the time it reached middle afternoon, that's when I really started to break down. But I'm trying to engage with these footballers, and I just now think back to it, and they must have thought isn't this guy meant to be funny and good at talking?
Jet lagged, just chronically sort of.
He's not giving us anything. But I do love, and the love for board games has continued long after that. Yeah, Bianca and I are in there. Yeah, we probably got 30 or 40 sets of board games, and we host regular board games nights. We'd love to get you guys across.
What is your sort of your favourite, if you could pick out of?
Well, different board games for different scenarios.
Yes.
So with a games night, you need more party games.
Yeah.
But if it's just Bianca and I, then we'll play the more nerdier type board games that you're getting out a big chest with hundreds of pieces in it.
What's the one that's you play your own land, and it's a war based kind of
Risk?
Risk. That's,
Risk. Yeah. We actually, I've never played Risk, but I'd be interested in playing. But these are our favourite one is called Everdell.
Right.
You haven't heard of it. No one has. And you take...
I actually have. No, I'm joking.
You build a city with woodland creatures, and the stronger your city is, the more points you get. The most points that you have at the end of the game, it means you win. That can take a full hour and a half to play longer between Bianca and I, and it's one of our favourite things to do when Gordy goes to bed, or on a day where my mum and dad are looking after Gordy. It's let's get Everdell out and go hard. Just put a session in.
Epic. I love it. One of my favourites we've done as a family is the Cluedo, but we've actually dressed up as characters. So that could be something we do a game night, is
really?
Actually get into character and come as Colonel Mustard or so. Yeah. That might be a bit too freaky.
Cluedo's just a bit basic for our taste.
Yeah, fair. No, that's okay. I'm not a refined individual. I'm sort of still very much like a Bananagrams kind of Scrabble operator. But we've got the dog also.
My dog's trying to
trying to escape.
Rush down the door.
No, fantastic. Yeah. Well,
she's
dogs
you playing
Cluedo? How dare you?
No, she's just a dog.
What about your love of outdoors? I guess sort of camping, and you're wearing the gumboots, and obviously via a sponsorship contra deal as well. But where does that come from?
I did a video for Merry People, your wife's gumboot brand.
My mum says it's her favourite piece of content. Every single time I see her, her every Tuesday. She goes, "It's the best video I've ever seen," and it's just so clever and funny, and it just encapsulates the brand. So she says it every time, I haven't heard it before. So
I've been telling people that I'm an ambassador for Merry People, which that was never strictly said.
I think it's now it's kosher.
Was it implied?
I think it's implicit.
I made one video for him, and now I'm I'm kind of an ambassador for Merry People, the gumboot.
the quintessential male. So yeah.
But we do love being outdoors, and Bianca has got she come from a childhood where she never went camping, never went hiking or anything. Too busy playing golf, probably.
Yeah.
But she's even more into it than me. She knows all the gear. She's got all the hiking packs and the thing that distills river water into drinkable water, and the little canisters of gas so you can cook a coffee even if you're at a place where you can't have campfires.
Full Bear Grylls.
So she knows more than me, but I love it. I went camping every year with my dad. He would take all four of us when we were kids.
Yeah.
But the first time I went camping with Bianca before she became avid and so knowledgeable about it all, I remember, I remember we had a tent, we're setting it up, and then I was like, now what? We didn't have matches to build a fire. We didn't have food. We didn't have any of the camping essentials you need. And then I said to her, I was like, I'm just realizing now I never did any of this. My dad did everything when we went camping. All I did was rock up and
Marshmallows.
Just enjoy, like, throw rocks, and skip rocks down at the water and eat some marshmallows. So we had to borrow a whole lot of essentials from the next campsite over.
Brilliant.
But we love doing that sort of stuff. And we took Gordy on his first camping trip recently as
Amazing.
well. Yeah.
And that's you said, a bit of a hike as well. So how do you, at Goldie's age,
He's
4,
just turned 4, actually, yeah.
And he had the legs to do the hike and
the hike is, well, he's so revved up about it because we were talking about it for a long time, which is a great way to, if kids are doing something brand new, going to an airport for the first time,
Yes.
or going on a long car trip, even talking about it in the lead up a lot, remember when we go camping, we're going to wear our backpacks and hike a long way. So that by the time they get there, they're really psyched to do it. And he walked the whole hour in to the campsite.
That's amazing.
With his little backpack. He wasn't carrying that much weight.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Come on, Gordy, get the program.
I was doing. Yeah, I had most of his stuff as well as mine.
Did you bring your guitar along as well? Is it kumbaya?
When you hiking in, you gotta be conscious of your weight.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
just
fair.
bring an acoustic guitar and drum kit.
Well, on that note, I guess I wanted to sort of also touch on sort of your musical prowess and sort of where that came from. So you're creative in so many ways, but you're a super talented musician. I mean, the Bird Tattoo song that you've done should be on the Triple J Hottest 100,
Thank you,
and might win it this year. But so where did that come from? Was that something as a child?
Man, that was honestly my first creative dream was I wanted to be in a band.
Yeah.
In high school I played guitar and we had a punk band, and all I wanted to do was be the lead singer of a band, go on tour and be a musician.
Yeah.
I just never got that good, especially at singing. I'm just a C+B singer. So you can't tour the world on that.
Backing vocals you could, but
yeah. But what it is good for
yeah.
is comedy songs, I think, have a bit more inbuilt leniency with how talented the singer is.
Yeah.
So that I'm in a skill where I can get away with a comedy song even if I can't get away with a song that's on the radio.
Bit like a one-man band. So it's not just guitar, right? Like sort of keyboard, drums. So how did you sort of flex that muscle and develop is it something you can just read music and it comes very natural to you?
I can't really read music really slowly,
okay.
at a first grade level. I could read music, but I would never try to play music by reading it.
Yeah.
No, I think I've just played guitar for so many years, and it just becomes easier to pick up other instruments. I think when you've learned, learning one is the hard one, but then it becomes easier. And do we have to pause for the helicopter?
I was going to say, we've got a bit of action here. It's like a police copper. We're okay, I think. What do you reckon?
That does happen sometimes when I'm in their temple and trying to pray, and then a 747 will go overhead. Yeah, I love playing music. I love it's a great procrastinating tool for me, actually. Instruments and music, when I'm meant to be working on something I don't know, writing a sponsorship or something that requires creative work, but I can't be bothered doing it.
Yeah.
Then I'll sit down at the piano or pick up the guitar, and I can chew up easily 2 hours doing that instead of doing the work I'm meant to be doing.
Are there any influences or albums that sort of you reference or have been really instrumental in kind of your...
Oh my God.
If you could pick one or two. I mean,
I love punk rock music, and I have since I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I just believe you never fall in love with music like you do the first time. And the first time that you really feel like you're discovering bands that you love and you're finding music and you're connecting to music properly for the first time, not just because it's on video hits on Saturday morning. That love, I reckon, never leaves you. So I can still put on Green Day, Blink-182,
Epic,
Against Me, Alkaline Trio. They're just all my favorite bands, and I just never tire of listening to my favorite songs.
Yeah. Well, what would be your favorite? Could you pick one again? I apologize.
A song?
Yeah, from Blink-182. What about Blink-182? You couldn't do...
I couldn't pick a favorite song.
Really?
Nah, just too fluid.
So
I could pick favorite albums maybe. Nimrod was the first album I ever owned that I would still listen to. Green Day.
Yeah.
I love that album. Enema of the State by Blink-182. I love The Blue album by Weezer, I love. Like, these are just albums I'll go back to for the rest of my life.
Epic. What about like recently my kids, like Jack in particular, has gotten into like The Offspring. Like, are you playing any songs for Gordy? And it's like some of them I have to sort of like skip through.
No,
like.
did I tell you what he did the other day? So Violent Soho is a punk band from Queensland,
Right.
and they're talking. They like this talk like, oh, maybe they'll reunite as a band. So I've been listening to a lot of that, and I had it on in the car the other day, and he actually physically did fingers in the ears, like.
Don't stop.
I was like, no, so I have to. I got him into the Beatles. That's as bad as that's my claim to fame with giving Gordy music, which is, I mean, I'll listen to the Beatles as much as I can as well.
Well, he's got the 4-part. They're going to do 4 movies, I think, coming out very soon with like some of the biggest actors in the world. So he's got that to look forward to as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's half decent. Now back to the Merry People. I know I don't want to sort of go too hard on the sponsor, but we do have a segment, and you're wearing the Oberon boot called Merry Moments. And I'd love to know your sort of best adventure or travel story that you've had. I know obviously you've done this camping trip recently with Gordy, but obviously you've done a lot of travel with Hamish and Andy and the gap years. And is there anything that sticks out for you, or whether you've been away with Bianca and
man, honestly, those gap years, I probably didn't appreciate it at the time enough. Yeah. Now that it's gone. So for people who don't know, Hamish and Andy did, from 2011 to 2015, we were in the USA, then the next year in Europe, then the next year in Asia, and then South America.
Yeah, pretty epic.
And it's just like, God, as a 23, 24-year-old kid, traveling around with these guys who I idolize. I loved Hamish and Andy before I started working on the show. Yeah. Seeing the world in all these different weird ways. I met my wife while we were on the gap year in the US. It's just such special memories. Yeah. And I probably didn't really appreciate it that would end, because they don't, we still make great content, but we're not making those shows. We're traveling around the world anymore, and that was such a highlight of my life, and I'm very thankful for it now.
Yeah, epic. That's a great share, mate. Thanks for that. I enjoyed watching it, obviously, and taking and consuming it. And with meeting your wife, so it was in New York City, right? So it was like a chance encounter, or how did that kind of come about?
She had a friend of a friend who had something to do with the Gap Year show, right? And she came as an audience member, and then was in the green room after the show. And she came with a friend of hers from work, and I thought that was her boyfriend. Yeah, right. So I wasn't even trying to flirt with her. Yeah. Hit on her, but I do remember the moment, like, so we'd have like a little party afterwards, and then we'd go late into the night because it was so stressful, especially to make that first Gap Year TV show.
It's like SNL kind of, like they go.
It was like we were just like not twiddling our thumbs for so long, but like we really thought we had more time, and then the show started going out. It's like, oh, we need to do way more like than what we've been doing. So there was like this mad rush every week, and it really had the feeling like we recorded on a Monday night for it to go out on Thursday, and every Monday it really felt like we just got there. And so there was a lot of steam being let off on a Monday night. And so we went, we'd go to bars after the green room closed, and I remember somewhere in the night, Bianca's boyfriend, who wasn't her boyfriend, just her work colleague, left without her. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, great.
And the sad part of the story is, at some point that night, I tried to kiss her, and she pulled her head away.
Look where you are now. Obviously, worn her down.
Eventually, I did get her. I have kissed her.
Oh, brilliant.
Since.
Glad to hear. One would hope. No, thank you for sharing. It's a lovely story, and she's a remarkable woman. So you guys are such a force and a power couple. Slight change of pace, just to sort of wrap it up, because I'm conscious of time, but are you a coffee consumer? Does that get the juices flowing? Do you have a favourite coffee?
No, you know what? I reckon so unconventional to do 7 years of breakfast radio and not become addicted to coffee. Yeah. And Christian was the same. I reckon we're the only two people who've ever worked in breakfast radio who weren't coffee consumers. But neither of us.
Nothing like.
Nah. I'd have a cup of tea when I got in there in the mornings. I don't know. I found coffee maybe kind of jittery. Yeah. Like I'm already like kind of like live my life like.
Caffeine sensitivity like me.
Through me. So it's like coffee for me is like a bit too much, and I don't love it. But I'm married to, seemingly like the world's snobbiest coffee expert.
Well, Venezuelan, right? So obviously there's going to be, this has to be a part of the...
Bianca's love language is getting a coffee made for her, but she's also so particular about how she likes her coffee. So I've never seen more joy on her face than when I wake up first and make her a coffee.
Yeah.
But then later in the day, I'll find like there's still half a coffee in his ear. It's like, did you not like that? She's like, it was a little milky, wasn't it?
So the thought that counts. The intention was there. Yeah. No, understood. Well, what would your, I guess, including Banker and Gordy or not, what would your sort of like best day look like? As you say, like sort of almost, previously it was probably around a golf, but from sort of morning to evening, what does, Jack's sort of like dream day look like in terms of?
I'm living it, man, most days, at least in the morning.
That's
My
epic.
Morning routine sets me up in such a good mood.
Yeah.
So now I actually still wake up early, and this is a hangover from the 4:30 a.m. alarm. Now it's 5:30
Yeah.
or 5:15.
Little
I
sleepy.
kind of found myself waking up at that time naturally.
Yeah.
And so at one point I was like, I'm just going to use this to my advantage. So now I go to the gym in the mornings at 5:30. And I'm the first one there, and there's no one there. I don't even put music on, and I love it.
Nice.
And then, then the group classes start coming in as I'm wrapping up.
You're shifting iron.
Yeah. so I have this routine now where I go to the gym.
Yep.
I come home. I do morning pages, which is this thing in the artist way where you write 3 pages of handwritten, just dump what is in your brain.
Wow.
That's like the main core practice of the artist way. You're meant to do that every day.
Okay.
So go to the gym, come home, do half an hour of this like morning pages. Then by that time, Gordy's probably up. We have breakfast. I hang out with him until he goes to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And then I jump in the sauna at 9 o'clock, jump out, pray to the universe.
Yeah.
And then from 10 o'clock, I'm like ready to
Let's go.
It's like, it is the best routine. And sometimes I sit there and I think I'm just so thankful that I made this pivot in my life to be able to start my days like this.
Get to do this. That's awesome. What a great share. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Outside of The Artist's Way, is there anything, I guess, any other books or shows you're watching or things you're listening to right now that are also resonating with you? Or I guess the Artist's Way obviously is playing a big role right now in your life. Is there any other texts or resources?
What am I? I'm listening to, so I usually have a book on the go and an audio book on the go.
Yep.
I'm listening to The Dutch House by Anne Patchett, and that's read by Tom Hanks. So, very good. I just read a book over, maybe last month, I finished a book called Australian Gospel. Highly recommend. That guy's name is Lec Blaine.
Okay.
He's, I think he's a journalist in Queensland, but this story revolved around him and his family.
Yeah.
I won't say too much, but I can highly recommend. So this is a true story, like a memoir, I guess, but it's not so much about his life as about his siblings and his parents. Amazing story, Australian Gospel, highly recommend.
Awesome.
Then watching, I'm always behind on TV shows.
Yeah, okay.
And then as footy season hits, I become a nuffy and I watch AFL 360 is like enough to sustain me through the winter.
Shout out, Jared.
And listening, like I still love podcasts. I do love The Imperfects.
Yeah.
I always get something from listening to that show.
I love that Dr. M when she talks.
Man, I just listened to one last week about that. You're going to love this, actually. Yeah. I listened to a Dr. Emily episode on The Imperfects, and she's talking about radical acceptance. And the idea is to if you got something that's painful inside you, give it your full attention. Let it be felt. And it will surprise you that it will only take 90 seconds. The scientific studies have said it takes about 90 seconds to 2 minutes to fully process a painful emotion.
Wow.
And so I took that learning, and this is going to sound so trivial, but the Essendon has had 2 10-goal losses to start the season. So I was in the sauna on Monday morning after the loss to Port Adelaide.
Feeling really deeply.
Just like, and I know that it doesn't really affect my life in any way.
No,
and it's such a first world problem to care about it. But it's been like 20 years of misery for the Essendon Football Club and its fans.
Yeah.
And it always puts me in a bad mood. I'm like, when? And the starts of this season really felt like, are we still going backwards before we're going to go forwards? Is this the reality? Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to radically accept this experience for the next 90 seconds. And I did. And it was really cathartic. And I know I'm aware of how trivial it sounds, but as just doing it as an exercise for like feeling where the pain is in your body, letting it be there, move with it, let it feel it through your limbs and your torso, and just let it be felt. And on the other side, I really did feel this peace with it and a high, and I actually felt great afterwards.
Love it, mate. You could be like at the next sort of crisis board meeting. That could be the solution, the solve for the club. It's just
accept radical acceptance. We suck. We suck. Just accept it.
Well, mate, thank you so much. It's been awesome to chat to you. As I say, I'm a massive fan. I really look up to you, and you've been so generous with your time and your knowledge today. So it's been awesome. Thanks to Mike again on the tech and Joel on the cameras. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Man, thank you for having me.
Pleasure, bro. Thank you.
None of your business. None of your business. None of your business. None of your business.